This summer, take a moment. Visit betterhelp.com/delighted to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/delighted. So what in this process of companies who really have an interest, it's a win-win, right? Because they give more customers what they want, which is a digital experience, and they can reduce cost or grow revenues, get more referrals, like you said, more share of wallet, expand. What are some of the common mistakes that companies make in their journey to get there?
Well, there are a couple of things that I've seen companies do sort of wrong. One is value digital as really just a scaling mechanism or just a way to save money. That's focusing in internally as opposed to being customer focused. The customer focused approach is digital is the experience, is the first experience that every customer wants. That change is more than just semantics. It leads to a different strategy and different development, right? Are you looking to optimize the experience for customers, or are you looking to optimize your own cost savings? So that's one, is sort of how it's viewed. A second one is thinking digital is easy. We'll just take everything we've got, digitize it and drop it online, call it a day. Digital requires connecting data, platforms, processes, people, tools, connecting all of that across an organization where it typically resides in different silos, even in small organizations. Because if you don't connect all that, the data, the people, the processes, the tools, then you're not going to be able to deliver the type of connected, smart, sort of personalized experience that customers are looking for. When a customer has a digital component and then wants to connect to the human, that human is less likely to have the information needed in order to help that customer. Information like what issue is the customer involved in right now? And we've all had the bad experience of being transferred from digital to human or human to human and having to repeat ourselves, what we're trying to solve, let alone any historical information about that customer, what they've bought, where they've struggled, whatever it might be, that can provide context to the conversation. So connecting digital requires a lot of IT and other operational elements. It gets to the point about CX is really an organization-wide function. It touches all different parts of the organization. And digital is a component of that organizational-wide approach. So that's another big mistake that I see.
So what I'm hearing, Andrew, is that we start with the customer experience and design the technology to support the experience that we want to achieve. If that's, one that comes to mind is a new account opening that, and I'm thinking specifically when I worked at the bank. So at a bank, you've got someone who may already have an account and you've got a lot of information about them. So they want to open another account. Typically you'd have to walk into a branch. You'd have to find a branch. Second best would be if you can call the contact center and they can open an account. But a customer might want to be able to self-serve in that. But in order to do that, you've got to pull together, there's a security check, because banks have regulations they've got to deal with when someone is wanting to sign up, and is it a business, is it residential or consumer? There's the pulling in any contact information, personal, public data, and then there's private data. So there's all this information that has to be pulled together. But what we're saying is what comes first is really the experience we want to achieve.
Exactly. In CX, we spend time journey mapping. Mm-hmm. And I would posit that part of that journey map needs to include not only the different steps of the customer's journey, but also what information needs to be provided to the customer along each step, as well as what touch point that's going to include, specifically which digital touch points that information is going to be made available on, right? Which channel. And then what are the elements, the structural elements here? I'm talking about tools, systems, et cetera, whether that be, IT related systems or whether that be processes internally that are touched and need to make sure that are in place and aligned in order to support that journey from a digital perspective to support the overall customer journey. So that initial journey mapping needs to include the digital element.
So let's talk about another potential mistake that comes to mind is if you don't think all the way through it, and let's just use that example of customer onboarding, a self-serve function, new account opening. If it doesn't work all the way through and the customer gets stuck, even if they were able to do 90% of it, there might be a frustration level that is so high because they're not comparing it to what you used to be able to do yesterday. They're comparing it to what Amazon can do, right? So say more about that.
So that is such a great point. Organizations need to understand that their competitors that they're being measured against are not
Right.
just their competitors in whatever industry they're in. It's from an experience standpoint. It's any organization that a customer has an experience with, and for many, Amazon's the gold standard, and we're all being compared to Amazon. Well, Amazon can do this, so a couple of things, the implications for that, and the implications for that when it comes to the C-suite. There has to be an investment in the digital function in order to be able to resolve some of these problems. My first suggestion or remedy is to understand what your existing customers are doing, where they're struggling in particular, where they're stumbling when they try to maybe open up a different type of, so go to the banking example. If you have a savings account, you want to open up a checking account, or you want to open up a CD, whatever new product that you want to onboard onto, where are people getting stuck? And can that apply to wholly new, sort of net new customers, to try to then solve for those problems before the net new customer even has them? So that's number one. How do we avoid these problems from even coming up? And that involves having conversations with existing customers. So I'm talking about sort of traditional focus groups, et cetera, to get the voice of the customer, to understand from them, especially newer customers, what problems did you encounter when you were just starting off? What could we do better? I'll take it to a different sort of, consumer may not be the right example, but another example. I'm actually working with my mother right now at her church in Los Angeles, where they're trying to grow their flock. And so I've been talking to her about a lot of these principles and how do they go and reach out to potential members of their flock. How do they identify them? How do they, whether it be geographic or age or children, like whatever their personas are that they're looking at, how do they identify those people? What sort of questions to have with them? And also looking at new members of their church, in particular for their concerns, new members with young children, and then have conversations with them to understand how they were attracted, what motivated them, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's important to listen to our existing customers, both digitally and sort of humanly, to try to understand how best to head off problems before they exist, solve them when they occur. If we see digitally then a new customer trying to do something and getting stuck, making sure that they have an easy, quick way to connect with the human, as we've already discussed, and then also monitoring those digital pathways, because to see where are they getting stuck from a digital perspective, right? Using the digital tools to analyze that, as opposed to waiting for them to reach out to somebody. Because some people may just get frustrated and not reach out to anybody for help. They just walk away, go somewhere else. So it's tracking that and then being able to reach out to them, ideally in real time. If you can track them in real time when they're struggling with something on your website, or if they're posting comments on a Reddit group or in your peer-to-peer community, and be able to respond to that quickly, then you still have them when they're experiencing that problem, and you can solve it for them in the moment.
Helpful. And so what I'm hearing for you is find the friction, right? Find where the pain is and go after that.
Exactly. Find the friction. Every time I've said customers want a simple experience, you could replace simple with frictionless.
Yeah. So we've talked about digital experience. And I also want to talk about AI, leveraging AI to improve the digital experience. So help lay the difference out for us when we're just from a definitional standpoint between AI and digital experience.
Yep. I view AI as a tool. I'll just broadly call it a tool to improve the digital experience. So the digital experience is any engagement that a customer is having with a company or an organization digitally. And as we've talked about, that also includes tying together on the back end of the company various processes so that that information is going into a company's CRM system or whatever it might be, right? So that's all of the components on the front end, the back end, to have to have a series of connected digital touch points. AI is a way to improve the digital experience by using various different technologies under the umbrella of artificial intelligence. So whether that be more sort of traditional predictive or data science or machine learning element of analyzing data and trying to drive understanding from that and to try to predict behavior, as well as the more recent sort of democratization of AI through generative AI, which is more around generating content or other elements that can be used as part of the digital experience. So I think of, to get specific, three sort of key pillars to leveraging AI in order to improve the overall digital experience. And one is understanding customers. Second one is use this understanding to personalize each customer's experience. And then three is looking for ways to improve operational efficiency. And when I think about understanding customers, it's using more of the traditional data science approach to understand things like, whom do we contact? What through what method, right? Which channel? When's the best time to contact that person? Predicting the likelihood of various behaviors, such as adopting or renewing, or whatever the company wants, is looking to understand what the customer is doing. So it's understanding and then predicting, and then being able to take that knowledge and being able to personalize a customer's experience. And that's through things like using Gen AI for content, whether that be creating net new content or leveraging existing content and creating different versions of it, maybe by language, maybe by form factor. For example, taking a 1 hour video and cutting it down into a series of 3-minute videos, or maybe turning it into an FAQ or an infographic, maybe taking documentation and parsing it into different versions based on the level of technical skill. Some people want more of a business level overview, and others want an in the weeds technical guide. So there are different ways to take existing content or create new content using Gen AI to be able to do something that most organizations don't have the bandwidth to create multiple versions of this content. But doing so allows you to provide that content for customers in the format that works best for them. Additionally, you're able to provide it at different channels. You're not going to post a 1 hour video on TikTok, but you might be able to post a 3-minute video on TikTok, right? Or LinkedIn, or figure out your platform. The other way we can personalize the experience is with AI assistants or bots, right? So we're developing an onboarding assistant, a renewal assistant. I think of this as for those who may remember, maybe a decade or so ago, Microsoft had their little paper clip that came with all of their Microsoft Office functions, and it was there to help you do things. This is a much better version of that. That you can just ask simple questions in simple language and get an answer right on the spot. You don't even have to go to a chat, right? That is your chat bot. You don't have to go searching for information on a company's website. It's just right there for you, your own little assistant. So that helps personalize the experience, because that bot or that assistant is trained on information relevant to what you're looking for, as well as informed by who you are, right? So what you've purchased, right? So you don't have to start off by saying, I own this. It's your bot. The bot knows what you own. So it's taking friction points out. So those are